The rapper Jay-Z has been accused in a civil lawsuit of raping a 13-year-old alongside Sean Diddy Combs at a party in the year 2000.
This is the news that we brought you earlier in the week in our special episode, that US rapper Jay-Z, real name Sean Carter, has been mentioned in a US civil suit that alleges that he, alongside Sean Diddy Combs, drugged and a 13-year-old girl after the VMAs in 2000.
It was last March 2024 when the feds, in LA, in Miami, and New York, they enacted these raids on Diddy's home, and it's been nonstop coverage since then. And finally, we know he was obviously arrested in late 2024. And
how close was Diddy and Jay-Z? They was close enough that they wasn't playing basketball. They wasn't playing baseball. They wasn't playing football. And they wasn't playing hockey or soccer for Diddy to come on stage, pat him on his ass, and then make the statement to people in the world that can't nobody call me Sean but Jay-Z.
Diddy's federal trial just took another wild turn, and now Jay-Z's name is being pulled back into the mix. That's right. The same Jay-Z who's been trying to keep a clean distance from all the mess. But now, it looks like a judge might want him to speak on it, and Diddy is not taking it well. Let's start with the basics. On May 5th, the official jury selection process began in what's being called one of the most explosive celebrity trials in recent memory. Sean Diddy Combs is facing serious federal charges. We're talking about allegations of trafficking, conspiracy, and organized criminal activity under federal racketeering laws. And the list of people involved? It's massive. Judge Arun Subramanian even joked in court that the list of witnesses and locations reads like something out of Lord of the Rings. That's how tangled this web really is. This isn't just a celebrity scandal, it's a federal case involving Homeland Security, multiple raids, and a long trail of alleged victims. And the fact that it's getting this kind of legal attention means there's a lot more happening behind the scenes than the public knows.
But one thing is, you have volunteered to testify at the trial, correct?
Not as of yet. Actually, I was subpoenaed.
Okay.
So my attorneys worked something out. So I believe when the time is right, I'm going to discuss it with my attorneys.
Mm-hmm. But you're willing to?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, I am. And again, there's no, like I said, this is not marketing for me. I'm living this life. And so the only reason I wanted to tell the story, Kurt, was very specifically because I was ignored. There was the most expensive PR campaign against me to shut me down. If you actually knew what they did to me, there was a bounty on my head. There was a bunch of stuff.
So do you think specifically then that Sean Diddy Combs or people affiliated with him did something to you that caused you to have multi-organ failure?
I believe this to be the case, yes. Absolutely.
Wow.
My first time saying it.
Are you concerned that he still has power outside of incarceration?
Remember, I'm the only one who spoke up, and I'm the only one left alive. So this is not about a scared thing, It's just time to reveal the truth. I mean, it is what it is. I went through many, many years of scrutiny and being dragged face first on the concrete, being called delusional and things of that nature. When I said trafficking and all the things that I said, because my job was not, listen, I don't want to take down your business if that's what you're doing. Just stay out of my backyard. Stay out of what I'm doing.
What's also important here is that this case didn't just pop up overnight. For years, there have been rumors, lawsuits, and closed-door conversations about Diddy's behavior, especially surrounding the kind of environment he created at his infamous parties. But everything changed when a video from 2016 surfaced last year. In that footage, Diddy is seen assaulting his ex, Cassie, in a hotel hallway. That clip sent shockwaves through the internet.
This is a very disturbing incident of physical violence. But what it is it actually matches up, almost word for word, with the complaint that was filed by Cassandra Ventura. I want to bring in right now Tracy Walder, former CIA and FBI agent, frequent contributor here on Sidebar, and also national security contributor here on News Nation. Tracy, your immediate reaction to seeing this, because it is absolutely gut-wrenching and incredibly disturbing to see, in my opinion. What do you think?
I could not agree with you more. It was shocking, quite frankly. It's not that I ever dismissed any of Miss Ventura's claims. I always have believed her and her claims. I suspect this video was probably used in terms of her bringing up that initial case. I'm also shocked, though, that there's not additional criminal charges as well. This is extremely severe, goes on for such a period of time, and she was clearly very much injured. It is just appalling to watch.
Once that video went viral, Diddy's carefully crafted image came crashing down. He released a public apology on social media, saying he was disgusted with himself and that he had been in therapy. But for many people, it was too little, too late.
I was up. I hit rock bottom. But I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video.
And his lawyers can lie, but video doesn't lie. And when it was clear that he was physically violent with Cassie, he really had no choice but to apologize. On the legal side, it didn't help him. It can be used against him. From a PR perspective, though, this was the right move.
One video triggered a wave of public outrage, but more importantly, it opened the floodgates for victims who had stayed silent for years. Since then, over 60 lawsuits have been filed. Some have already been settled, others are still active. Together, they paint a picture of a man who used power, influence, and money to control those around him. But this isn't just about Diddy anymore. As the investigation grows, it's pulling in people who were in his orbit, including longtime friends, business partners, and, yes, even Jay-Z.
We are learning that Jay-Z is accused of a 13-year-old girl. That is new in the Diddy lawsuit, and the new allegations are just coming out this evening. Jay-Z is being accused of a minor along with Diddy at a MTV VMAs after party back in 2000, according to documents obtained by Fox News Digital tonight. The lawsuit, which was initially filed back in October, was refiled tonight in New York by an anonymous accuser claiming Jay-Z, whose full name is Sean Carter, while Combs and Celebrity B watched. So that other celebrity was not named.
After the news broke, Jay-Z's lawyer filed a motion on Tuesday. They've asked to deny the plaintiff's request to proceed anonymously. They've also asked for the case to be dealt with as quickly as possible because of the highly sensitive nature of the matter and because of the media interest it's generated. The filed motion from Jay-Z's lawyer, Alex Spiro, also says, for the avoidance of doubt, Mr. Carter is entirely innocent. This is a shakedown. He is not mentioned, referenced, or implicated in any way in the criminal investigation of Mr. Combs. He is neither a target nor a person of interest in that investigation. Cheyenne, I'll start with you. Sort of where were you and how did you react when you heard the new allegations?
I was actually coming out of a theater show, and so my phone just was filled with messages trying to work out what happened, and then Jay-Z's statement dropped, and so it was kind of all hands on deck on a Sunday night, which has been kind of the case for some of these updated filings. The news breaks at night, and the next morning it's just unfolding as things continue.
I was in the bed eating chicken wings, and they were delicious, and all of a sudden my phone just started text messages and messages from TikTok, and so I started doing my own research, and I had grease all over my fingers typing on the iPad, and I was just like, well, here we go. It's about to blow up.
I mean, this is kind of what people have been waiting for. When Tony Busby came out at the beginning of October and he promised to name other people co-conspirators, the facilitators of foul play, he called them. Was that kind of what you were seeing online, just comments of, oh, okay, it's beginning?
I think, since Diddy was arrested and the idea of his parties, people have been clamoring for additional names, other celebrities to now be pulled into that. And Jay-Z is one of the biggest celebrities so far it's pulled into it. So yeah, people were kind of waiting for a moment like this.
And if you listen to his lawyers, some of the things that they said that were pretty interesting is he's not a target, he's not a probe or things of this at the criminal investigation, because if he was a target, he would have received a target letter from the federal authorities saying, you come and sit down and talk to us. So his lawyer said, without saying, the federal government on the RICO allegations have never talked to Jay-Z. That's basically him saying, I already know nobody's looking at me criminal.
Here's where the Jay-Z connection comes in. A man named Joseph Manzaro filed a lawsuit claiming he was lured into one of Diddy's parties in Miami back in 2015. He said he was forced into humiliating situations in front of powerful guests, and he specifically named Beyoncé and Jay-Z as being there, saying they saw everything and did nothing. Manzaro described Beyoncé as looking shocked, like she knew something was wrong. But Jay-Z? He claimed Jay stood there watching, not reacting. Now, that's a bold claim, and Jay-Z's legal team immediately denied it. His lawyer, Alex Spiro, one of the most high-powered attorneys in the business, released documents proving that Jay-Z wasn't even in Miami at the time. Same with Beyoncé. They were actually at the Billboard Music Awards in Las Vegas, with plenty of photo and video proof to back it up. Shortly after, Manzaro changed the lawsuit. All mentions of the Carters were removed, almost like they were never part of the story. But the damage was already done. The public had seen their names attached to this nightmare, and people started asking questions like, how much do Jay and Bey really know about Diddy's world?
A prosecutor has come forward and said that Jay-Z is pretty much in between a rock and a hard place. Jay-Z will be either forced to testify or he won't be subpoenaed to testify because he's being charged as a part of this RICO case with Diddy. So this is going to be an interesting situation to see how this plays out. I have a bunch of different pieces of information on this. I want to get into what Nicki Minaj has been saying too. She just actually, if you don't know, we can kind of break this news live. Nicki Minaj has just come out, put out some more statements about Jay-Z and Diddy. So we got to talk about that. You know, what she had to say about the situation. I'm going to pull up Diddy's indictment, the entire document, the 14-page indictment. And we're going to talk about this. Crazy situation, man. Crazy situation. We're going to see how this plays out for Jay. If you guys remember earlier this summer, 50 had just been going crazy, posting content and memes and different things about Diddy, making fun of him. He actually just sold his documentary. I think he just sold his Diddy documentary to Netflix. They said he's been working on it for 10 years. So I want to talk about the situation with 50 and what he was saying prior to about Jay-Z being involved with the Diddy situation. This is an article about Diddy's situation. It says P. Diddy's rich and powerful friends such as Jay-Z could be forced to testify. That's what experts claim. That's the headline. And then they just kind of go into a synopsis and a summary of everything that Diddy has been charged with, what's going on with him, why it's going on with him. And, you know, I don't feel the need to reiterate all that. We already know what that is. I don't think we need to go back into the details of that yet. We're going to pull up his indictment, the 14-page indictment anyway. So this is what a prosecutor said. Let me see. Here we go. The article says, the former prosecutor Niyama Ramani explained to the U.S. Sun how those in Diddy's circle could be affected by any trial on the horizon. This is the quote that the prosecutor gave. Jay-Z and other celebrities can be subpoenaed, but they will almost certainly assert their Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination and refuse to testify. Now, this prosecutor is saying that Jay-Z and, you know, they named Kim Kardashian, Kanye West, Leonardo DiCaprio, Pharrell, Snoop Dogg. They named these people in the article. She said that he could, or that if they're subpoenaed, they're probably going to, you know, plead the Fifth in order to avoid self-incrimination. Now, why that's important? Because if you didn't do anything wrong, why would you feel the need to worry about being incriminated? If you had nothing to do with nothing, if you legit, now there is a point, or there's a part of this where people don't want to testify against Diddy because of the business relationships that they've had with him. But in my opinion, you know, I think pleading the Fifth publicly is going to look just as bad as anything else.
Even though they were taken out of the lawsuit, there's now growing speculation that Jay-Z could be called to testify as a witness. Let's be clear, he's not being accused of any crime. But as someone who was close to Diddy during the years these parties were happening, prosecutors may want to know what he saw, what he heard, or what conversations they may have had. Think about it. Diddy and Jay-Z were tight, business partners, party regulars. They collaborated on music, appeared at each other's events, and were photographed together constantly. If anyone had insight into Diddy's lifestyle or behind-the-scenes behavior, it's Jay. Some legal experts now say Jay-Z's name is on a list of potential witnesses the court may contact. And for someone like Jay-Z, who's always protected his brand and stayed out of messy drama, this is a nightmare scenario.
Now, I don't know what kind of statement and I can't say, I wish I could say half a homo, but I know I can't say it. But I don't know what kind of half a homo that is. And you trying to say that you're not close to somebody. You coming on stage, patting them on their ass, and then you making a broad statement to the public, can't nobody call me Sean but Sean Carter. And I heard Jay-Z said the same thing about them. But they were so close that they had matching white girls together. Because when they used to see each other, they used to say, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? He'd be like, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? So, I guess that's a certain type of closeness.
I ain't know anything about that, man. I ain't know about, Jay touching his, ass. So I gotta go see the video. I ain't hear about that.
Come on, man. Everybody's seen that. 50 even pointed it out. Excuse me. When they was in ATL on stage. Remember when 50 bum rushed the stage with them?
Yeah, I think I recall that.
When Puff came on stage, first thing he did was pat Jay-Z on that. But I forgot. That's your favorite rapper.
Hey, him and Pac is 1A, 1B. But what's your issue with Jay, man? I didn't know you had an issue with him.
I'm never a fan of somebody that I was gonna knock out. And then we was at the, it was me, him, Ashley Kushner, Puff and them. We was all at the Nets game together, and he didn't even remember none of it. And I don't expect him to remember, but I remembered. You understand? And he told Puff, he said, yo, Puff, yo, I heard about that Gene right there. That Gene got a mean left. Oh, you said that Gene a knock a out. Then he gonna come up to me and say, man, you look like, man, you a tear ass up. And I said to himself, I said, yo, no Diddy. Pause. Whatever. I said, he don't even remember. I was about to knock him the F out. He didn't even remember. He said to me to Laura. But that's how these guys are, man. They'll cause situations and cause problems, and then they'll forget what they done because they on a whole nother atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? A lot of shit that he did, you gotta understand, like now he'll say that they're kids because he's raising kids of his own. You understand? But how would you like it that if Blue Ivory, 15, 16 years old, 17, 18 years old, dating a nigga in his early 30s? You're not gonna go for that. No matter what she came through in Hollywood. But you gotta understand, guys who was around there, we didn't know Jay-Z them ages. We didn't know these cats' age. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't having no beards and nothing like that. They was wearing low cuts. You understand? Clean face. I would have never believed when Jay was coming around the block, scooping up the young girls and stuff like that he was 30 years old.
Insiders say Diddy is panicking over this possibility. Because if Jay-Z gets up there on that stand, even if he doesn't directly implicate Diddy in any crimes, just confirming certain conversations or habits could open a floodgate of consequences. Diddy's inner circle is crumbling. People who once worked for him, dated him, or partied with him are now flipping. Cassie is reportedly ready to testify, using her real name, no anonymity. That alone could be powerful. His former lawyers are out. One of them jumped ship. Now he's being represented by Mark Geragos, a guy known for handling high-profile cases. But even he may have a tough time here. And then there were the raids. Back in March, federal agents from Homeland Security raided both of Diddy's homes in LA and Miami. And they weren't just taking notes. They confiscated hard drives, phones, surveillance footage, and who knows what else.
But what we do know is that two properties associated with him, we saw the feds descend on those properties. We saw on aerial footage, federal agents both here in the Los Angeles area as well as in Miami at those residences. Now, the Department of Homeland Security, their what's called HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, gave CNN a statement. I'll read you part of that when asked about what this activity is. They say that earlier today, HSI New York executed law enforcement actions as part of an ongoing investigation investigation with assistance from HSI Los Angeles, HSI Miami, and our local law enforcement partners. That is it, confirming that they are conducting what they're deeming law enforcement action, which could indicate search warrants being conducted there, could indicate arrests being conducted. We just don't know at this hour specifically what that law enforcement action is. It is worth pointing out, though, that Combs himself obviously has faced significant legal woes in recent months. I'll give you just the highlights of what actually occurred. In November, he was sued for abuse by a former partner. That lawsuit was then settled very quickly. But in December, he faced in a complaint filed in the Southern District of New York. The suit was brought by a woman referred to as Jane Doe, who said that she was 17 at the time when these allegations took place back in 2003. He was accused of trafficking and gang and other allegations, also in that suit naming 2 of his associates. Of course, Combs denied any wrongdoing there. And then just last month, a former employee of Combs filed a suit also in the state of New York, accusing him of sexual assault, harassment, and, quote, grooming. That former employee stated that he had worked for Combs between 2022 and 2023. Among those allegations, this former employee, a male employee, said that Combs did not compensate him for his music production work and forced him to procure and interact with workers, threatened him with serving alcoholic beverages laced with drugs to guests at parties at Combs' home. And then Combs' son, Justin Combs, was also accused of soliciting and underage girls at his father's homes. Again, the Combs have denied any wrongdoing, but just a series of allegations that we've seen taking place. Final point, Wolf, I'll note, is that while we don't know the specific allegations or why the feds are at these residences, it is worth pointing out the agency that is conducting this law enforcement activity. It's not the FBI, it's not the DEA or the ATF. This is HSI, Homeland Security Investigations. For those unfamiliar, this is an agency that has long been the forefront, specifically at human trafficking investigations.